All right, people, what's going on? Quick little video here to talk about yet another Seattle Seahawk player accolade. And obviously, we care more about the success of the team than we do the success of any one player, but that doesn't mean we can't celebrate the accolades as they come. We've certainly celebrated them with players like Ernest Jones, DeMarcus Lawrence, basically anybody who was named Player of the Week, Player of the Month. We had Jason Myers, we had JSN. It's been a pretty good year for Seahawks to win awards. Some of them pretty significant, some of them less so, but awards are awards. And we had another one this week. And you might call this one the smallest of the awards granted so far, but nevertheless, new Seattle Seahawk, Rashid Shaheed is your NFC Special Teams Player of the Week for Week 14. So shout out to him. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you guys about Sleeper. I'll tell you a little secret as well. It's more than just a platform for fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users have enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but there's so much more to it. You have live stats, real-time updates of all stats. You have a news feed with lightning-fast updates on players and teams, and a real-time chat where you can engage with other users about plays, performances, games, all kinds of stuff during the sports season. So download Sleeper, experience it for yourself, and don't forget to use my promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit, and pair that with their new promo that will give you a free $20 entry, no deposit needed. So you can use both of those promos. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and going. So check out Sleeper today and use those promos. Obviously, Shaheed, when you're talking about his special teams impact on Sunday, it was one play, but it was a pretty monumental play. 100-yard kick return touchdown. I mean, you look at the other kick returns he had, they averaged 24 yards per. Really not even all that special. I don't even know if you'd call that good in the modern NFL. So it really is just that one play, but the one play is so big, it overrides everything else. You're talking about a 6-6 ball game at halftime. Atlanta looks like they might be on the upset watch. Atlanta looks like they might be sniffing a big upset. They're playing really good defensively. They've worked very hard to earn a halftime tie. They looked better in the first half. And then Shaheed, in one play, basically, I don't want to say literally ended the game, but it kind of felt like he ended the game because all the air came out of the building after that kickoff return that went 100 yards. And with the way that the defense was playing, even though I know the defense wasn't necessarily having their best game ever, and I know that Atlanta was doing some things right, it did kind of feel like that play completely flipped the game, and it was going to be almost impossible for Atlanta to win at that point because they had to work so hard and play at such a high level to get to where they were, and then it all just gets undone in 10 seconds by Shaheed. I mean, it's hard to have a bigger impact on special teams than that, right? So the benefit and the value of having Shaheed, obviously we all get caught up on what he's doing as a receiver. A lot of people were disappointed in what he was doing as a receiver through the first few games he was here, and then they were really happy that he caught passes on Sunday. But this special teams thing, don't forget about it, because remember, I know Torrey Horton had the 95-yard punt return against New Orleans earlier this year, but he's injured right now. He's missed some time. He's probably going to miss a little more time. Who knows how explosive he's going to be and how comfortable he's going to be returning punts when he gets back, if he does get back. So having a guy like Shaheed around, who might be the premier all-around return man in the NFL right now, if not the best, he is one of the best. We're talking about something pretty valuable here, because just think about it. Like, this team is so good defensively and still very, very good offensively, but prone to occasionally falling asleep every now and then, that having somebody like Shaheed around can really wipe out a lot of bad things. Like, just imagine this Seattle team's in a playoff game. The offense comes out really sleepy. They're making mistakes. Maybe they're even turning the ball over. Nothing's going right. We can't score. But the defense, obviously, they're phenomenal. They're locked in. They're keeping the game close. And then out of nowhere, Shaheed just busts a big special teams return for a touchdown. And the opposing team, whoever they may be, just imagine how that feels. You did all that work to get to that point where you're in a position to beat one of the best teams in the league, a team that is so good in every aspect of the game. And then in 15 seconds, Shaheed just takes off, busts the big special teams return, and it just feels like, well, so much for that. A team with this many ways to do damage to you, having this way to do damage to you, it's disheartening. It's like when it's a little like when the Bears had Devin Hester all those years ago when they had the #1 defense in football, 2006. There were so many ways that Bears team could beat you, mostly defensively, but their offense was actually good too that year. But even if you took care of all of that, Devin Hester could just blow everything up, and all your hard work ultimately went to nothing. So yeah, special teams player of the week for the NFC for Shaheed. Some people anticipated that maybe Nick Emanwari was going to get defensive player of the week for the NFC, but he did not. That went to Al-Quadin Muhammad of the Detroit Lions, who had 3 sacks of Dak Prescott on Thursday night. And, I mean, they needed every bit of it, right? That was a competitive game, relatively competitive, and Detroit needed the win desperately. If they lost that game, it was probably over for them. So, yeah, Al-Quadin Muhammad, I can't argue with him winning NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Remember, one thing to take into consideration here is that Emanwari, one of his big plays was on special teams when he blocked the field goal. That's not really going to count for Defensive Player of the Week. He had the sack, he had the pick, he had a tackle for loss, but the kind of the extra little bit he had that really took him over the top in that game was the blocked field goal, which that's not really going to count for something like this. But nevertheless, pretty cool. It's yet another weekly accolade for this team. And I'm going to say it again, man. It's just yet another way this team can beat you, that it's not just a hypothetical. They're doing it. They do it almost every week. The special teams does something over the top, be it Jason Myers kicking a long field goal that is far from a gimme in the modern NFL, or Michael Dixon coming up with a really good punt, or the kickoff coverage keeping teams from getting the ball past the 25-yard line, or, of course, this. So, really cool stuff. Really awesome. Shout out Shaheed. And we'll continue to try to stack these as the year goes on. There's going to be many opportunities to do so. You're playing the Colts this weekend, a team that is very, very weakened right now. You could absolutely have somebody just go off on them. And if we're playing, looking at the quarterbacks we're going to play, would it shock anybody if somebody on this team had multiple interceptions? It wouldn't shock me. Would it shock anybody if, let's say, we beat the Rams and JSN has some really big game that pushes them over the top? That would probably give him NFC Offensive Player of the Week. I mean, if he's actually tilting the balance of power in the NFC like that, then, it's him, it's Sam Darnold, it's going to be somebody. And the opposite's true, too. If the Rams beat us, then you might see Puka up here again, like he is for this week. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Just wanted to give a quick little shout out to Mr. Rashid Shaheed. Really fun. Hope he's a Seahawk for a while. Hope we re-sign him this offseason. By the way, it's probably going to cost a little bit more than some people are thinking. Be prepared for it. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think you guys should either. All right, go Hawks. See you guys soon. More stuff coming, but I wanted to talk about this for a little bit.